Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm your host, Kim Jordan, and this is The Village. Welcome. Um, I am super excited about our guest today. I've been knowing her for a very long time, so this is very dear to my heart just to even have her in the village with us. So please, when it's time, I need you to, show her some love and, how we say it all the time. We need you to interact, to comment, ask questions, whatever you're going to do. Just make yourself at home, grab your tea, and let's dive right in. So today's topic is relationship survival guide. I can't tell you how much fun this is getting ready to be. Anytime you talk about relationships, everybody has something to say. Kim has something to say, and we are getting ready to bring her in. But before we do that, let me just tell you a little bit about her. She is a retired zookeeper and educational specialist. She's a longtime home chef and a karaoke queen. I can attest to that. And she's been married 15 years, so she has some relationship experience to share with us. Village, please help me welcome my dear Kim, my dear friend, another Kim, my dear friend, Kim Surratt.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Kim, welcome to the village.
Thank you for having me.
You are more than welcome. So glad you finally made it. Definitely, this won't be the last time. We definitely want to make sure that we continue on because I know already we're not going to get to everything.
No.
But let me just say this. Um, in the relationship survival guide, tell me what are some of the ideas for success?
Ideas for success is basically to um, know what you want in a mate, whether you're male or female, and you want that to be like a real thing. You don't want to date somebody because they have a Jag or a Mercedes Benz. You don't want to date somebody for what they can do with you because you are the first line defense for yourself. You make sure you make your dollars, your credits good, your upward mobility in your financial freedom is yours first. And then, if he gels with that, if he has a hope or dream, this goes male or female. If they have a hope for a dream of bigger, y'all sit down and caucus about it so you know if that dream is something real. Because like everybody, when we young, we like, oh, we gonna go to Hollywood. Or when we're little kids, I want a Prince Charming. There is no Prince Charming.
Right.
There is no Prince Charming. You have to be that strong person for yourself first. And you must know who you are first. Because if you don't, then you're doomed to make a lot of mistakes that a lot of us as men and women make in choosing a mate. So you just have to always keep in mind you and your heart. I'm not saying being selfish, but that's the only part that you're supposed to be selfish with. And if your mate gels with what you're trying to accomplish in life outside of your relationship, then maybe there's a chance of that being a good match for you.
Okay.
The other thing is save the cookie because you have some that will mask. You have to recognize deception. And if there's questions in the dating, I'm not saying you got to jump in, but you want to know, like, if a man is proud of their children, they're going to tell you the first day they meet you on a date that you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they have kids and you have kids, that's going to come out. You shouldn't
Okay.
come 2 years or 2 months down the line or 3 months down the line, because
Okay.
then you're going, wait a minute. A kid is supposed to be very important to you.
That's true. So
You
listen,
should be
what
talking
are
about
some of let me ask you this. What are some of the red flags?
a red flag is if somebody don't mention their children.
Okay.
You know, either if you ask about it and they don't say anything, or they just don't say anything about having kids.
Okay.
I mean, this day and age, it's hard to find, you know, either male or female that doesn't have children. If they don't mention
At
it.
this age, sometimes these children are more adults. They're older. So we're not really looking at people perhaps sometimes that have little children, right? So what are some other red flags?
Other red flags, sometimes we're mesmerized by how one looks. And a shyster, may use that to um, to gain a booty call, or gain something personal for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so you must take your time and actually listen to the things. And if you have this, oh, he said this, but he's saying something else in the next sentence, that's a red flag.
Okay. So
That's a red flag.
let me ask you this. In the beginning of a relationship, what does that look like?
Um, well, somebody, I heard somebody, he was interested in a friend of mine. And he was talking about like how much he wanted to be with my friend. And he said, you know, well, I own this garage and I work on cars and big bank and all that. And yeah, he was spending a lot of loot when we was hanging out, buying everybody drinks and stuff like that. But then like maybe an hour later, he's managing it. He don't own it. And then a little longer after that, he works there. You know what I'm saying? And so I listen, but if I pay attention, and some people feel like if you're at a bar or something, people aren't paying attention, but I do, because I've called people on their stuff. You know, I and you just have to watch and pay attention, and not be so mesmerized by a look, or if you saw them getting out a fabulous car, you know, or something like that, because
Okay.
crap is crap. Put crap in a tux, it's still crap.
Right.
You know, so you still have to ask yourself, you know, what is this person about, if they're interested in you and you're interested in them.
Okay. So then when we're dealing with the relationship survival guide, right? There are mistakes that women make, and there are mistakes that men make in this relationship. Can you identify some of the? Let's start with the men. What are some of the mistakes that men make in these relationships?
Well, in my personal experience, what I saw, because I'm like a free spirit, and some men mistaken that free spirit that I have as, oh, she's just silly or she's dumb, you know. And all I was doing was looking for love, but at the same time, part of that came with my own baggage of how I was brought up and how I perceived myself.
So what's the mistake that a man makes?
Well, I'm not a man, but I can only go by how they treated me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say that they saw that in me as far as a negative. There were some that saw good. Oh, she gonna be a loyal somebody because she's stupid. I don't want to bash men in that way, but the ones that I came across were like that in dating.
Okay, and then
and some of them look at, oh, the body, you know, want to be arm candy. Women, we don't want to be arm candy. We want to be somebody substantial in a relationship somebody that contributes more than cleaning the house, cooking, and arm candy. Hello.
So, what are some mistakes that women make?
Well, sometimes we think about dollar signs. Uh, what can they do for me? We as women have been duped, just like some men, about Prince Charming and the white picket fence and the 2.5 kids. You know, that doesn't exist. That's why you have to make your own self for yourself the dream. And you must clear your own baggage to be able to accept someone that's worthy of being with you and having you.
Mm-hmm.
And same for a man. There's no princess that you should always have to rescue. You can be a support for that princess, but you make sure that princess can hold her own too, and not just in a brawl trying to stand up for them. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you this, because I see this a lot in relationships. What is the outcome or the fallout from being with someone that maybe might be in their beginning stages and not have anything, right? Sometimes,
Okay.
you can connect with someone and, life happens and they're just at a place where they don't have whatever you have. And
Right.
so how does that, in your experience, have you met people that have come together that weren't equal in, let's just say, their life experience or even their income?
My husband and I, for instance. But the thing is he was a strong man, flawed but strong, and so was I. I'm a strong woman, flawed but strong. I was working. He was working. He had goals, and I was a support system for him for those goals, as much as he was a support system for me for my goals. And so it just happened that everything worked out. It worked. He was studying to get a DC first HVAC license, which is the top license you can get in that field. And I knew a little bit about it, but he told me a little bit about it. He gave me the book and he said, "Quiz me," and I was able to quiz him, and I was able to tell him where he was wrong, where what he
So
got right.
in your personal experience, you're telling me that there was a unequal situation and it really boils down to the two people coming together and that it's not necessarily an issue unless you make it an issue. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And,
Okay.
and he did the same for me when I was trying to do a school presentation for my job. I would run it by him and he'd, "Oh, that's excellent. Or you might have forgot this, you might have forgot that," but that's it. It's really about how you support each other, but it's also what is the motivation of that person that you're supporting, that you're trying to have a relationship with. Are they driven? Do you see that drive? Because if you don't see the drive, then maybe it's a game.
Right.
Or maybe you need to fish on, how to uplift them to do better
Yeah.
in accomplishing something that's going to be beneficial for the both of you, and vice versa, male, female.
So in the relationship, because we're talking about a survival guide, so this is not a one time situation. This is an ongoing survival guide to make it happen and make it last.
Yes.
How would you say what is the important portions of communication? How does that play in a relationship?
Okay, so when you get mad or have a disagreement, we all human. And from my personal experience, sometimes I might yell and scream, but I don't call out a name. You know what I'm saying? I'm still saying my point. I'm just more animated about it. And there's times that he's not receptive. And then like maybe I'll wait a half an hour after I do my num yo ho renge kyo, and then he's receptive. And that's just like our dynamics. Um, for me, if he's upset and he's fussing, then I give it back. But I'm skilled in communication, so I always speak to the point and I don't, call names. That's one thing that you don't do because you totally lose the argument. Yelling, yeah, depending on who you're with, you can lose the argument.
Okay.
Or I'm sorry, you can you can waste your time in a discussion. So it's your communication skills. You want to say what you need to say. I tell some of my girlfriends, you got to do man talk. You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to go around the corner to paint the walls. You got to walk up and paint the wall
Right,
because
right,
uh,
right.
the attention span doesn't like to stay there because you save it too taking too long.
Yeah, right. So I think what you just really talked about was more of the conflict resolution portion of it.
Hmm.
But I guess I want to circle back to the question in communication. Like, how is that on a normal level of no conflict? We're just in this relationship now, and we need to be able to communicate back and forth. How, I know sometimes people talk at you versus talking to you, or
Correct.
talk with the intent to respond, not listening. So tell me some, like how important is communication, and how does that work for you?
Communication is 100% to at the top of the list, and also listening. And the way that you do that is if I say, because one of the things that I deal with is, honey, you should get up. I need you to help me with something. So instead of it sounding like I'm telling him what to do, I just go, honey, I really need your help. Can you? And he's more responsive. He gets up in 2 seconds. But if I say, honey, you need to get up, and then next week he'll get up and do what I asked to do. You know what I'm saying? So it's that, and also if you're trying to solve an issue and you're actually sitting down and communicating calmly, and they say that, just like what I said, honey, I need you to help me out with something. I need you to get up and move around so we can get some exercise. Then he can, if he's an active listener, he'll say, well, what I heard you say was I needed you, you need me to get up and exercise. And so that's active listening. That way, the man knows he heard what you said, and you clearly said what you needed to say. And it works both ways on that. So that is the perfect way of being able to communicate. It does sound hokey to some folks, but you can actually get more accomplished when you communicate in that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think that's an excellent strategy, an excellent tool to put in your tool belt for sure.
Yeah.
That to active listening skills, awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
So share with us a little bit. I don't know if we're going to get through all of this, but I think that we might get stuck here. Share with us, some of your personal experience, that caused you to be able to have a relationship survival guide.
Well, I've had, and Kim has known me for a long time. We not old though.
Right.
But I had I dated a lot of times. not recognizing at that time my own personal baggage.
Mhm.
And my grandparents, they had been married for life. They met in the 1920s and they died in the 80s, late 80s. And so they spent their whole lives together. So I wanted to have something that was sustaining. And what I found because of my baggage was I was picking the wrong person all the time.
Mhm.
And some of the relationships I stayed in and I knew I should have rolled out. And it was because I hadn't unpacked my baggage. And in 1995, I actually spent 2 years intentionally single to get to know me. I went to the movies. I took myself to the movies. I took myself to wherever I had to go. I had no interest, but I didn't go out all the time either. I stayed in and got to know me. I looked at how I contributed to the failure of something that I thought at the time could have been a potential forever. And it wasn't perfect, but it opened my eyes so wide that I can't even explain it. It's almost like getting the Holy Ghost in church. Um, and so when I finally walked out the door, I was a different woman all the way around. I'm not saying it was perfect either, but I knew when it was when I dated, I think, two other people before I met my husband and married one. And I knew when it was time to, I made a mistake. And so self-reflection and is very important because you want to be the best and the strongest you can be when you put your face forward. Doesn't matter if it's work, relationship, friendship. That's what you want to do. If people accept it, they do. If they don't, you still know who you are when you lay your head down at night.
Well, yeah, yeah. That is, I love the fact that you took time to get to know you and unpack.
Yes.
So many of us still have our bags packed, and we
Yes.
take them from relationship to relationship. But
Yes.
that is, I think that if we don't take anything from the relationship survival guide, it is to unpack.
Yes.
Take the time to
Yes.
unpack. I love that.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So we are nearing the end of our session today, Kim. Are there any final words that you want to share before we go?
Only thing that I can say is I hope there's a part two because I got a lot more. but but also, I mean that the main thing is unpacking your baggage. No matter what, it can be painful. That's one of the hardest things that anybody can do is actually look at themselves honestly, like an outsider would do, and understand it, hug it, and put it on the shelf and leave it there forever. And
Yeah.
never let the next person pay for something somebody else did, even if you see similarities.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that that's the same type of person all the time.
Wow. Well, we definitely need to bring you back so we can know how to unpack. Thank you for this informational, informative, and transparent interaction. Thank you so much, Kim. We love you, and we hope that you come back. I'm trying to be serious, and we hope that you come back and see us again. All right. Y'all, you have no idea. I love her so much. She's not necessarily a friend. She's my sister. And so we've had Kim Power, to Pi Square for years. So listen, thank you so much for joining. Please like and share. This was a very transparent and informative session about the Relationship Survival Guide. And just remember, silence creates distance, but conversations with Kim builds the village. Bye-bye.